Alright, this time I made the correct tier list, and this should fix everything that was wrong with the previous tier list. I re recorded this video so many times. I have like three 20 GB videos in my file explorer right now, and, and they're all different tier lists, but I finally reached the actual good one. Anyways, I want to apologize to the people in my previous comment session from my previous video because I tried to defend my tier list when I realized I was wrong. And thanks to them, I was able to make this new tier list, which I think is way better. And I would like to give thanks to not Kobe, to Pie Chart, the piece of fart, whatever, and Rice Tarnished because those people allowed me to see what was wrong with the tier list, and I was able to see what I was neglecting from some fruits. And after that, I also consulted some of my friends, which have experience with some of those fruits. I don't really have experience with every fruit. Like I have used every fruit, but I don't have the same amount of experience. So this time I went and researched too on Reddit, and I saw other tier list videos that were pretty weird. But I saw why they ranked them and everything, and I just made a conglomerate of all those things, and I came up with this tier list. Hopefully, this time it is good. Hello, once again, we're back at the tier list. Um, I released the video last time with a new update 10 tier list, but Um, uh, the comments let me know that I was just wrong. It was just wrong. And I tried to argue or defend my points, why I put stuff in what tier, but I realized that the people that were telling me, they were right. They had some good points. They, you know, I I got convinced. So I redid the tier list, and I also redid the entire classification system and the way I evaluate the fruits and everything. Um, Now I take into account different things, and I completely excluded PvP. I know I said in the previous video that, or in the previous videos, that I would give it to PvE more, but I would still give it to PvP a little bit, a small part of it, like maybe 1/4. But now I completely removed PvP, and I have only evaluated the fruits for PvE. And I came up with this tier list, which looks pretty radically different from my previous tier list with only a couple tiers. I also noticed that it was pretty hard to accurately rank the fruits with the few tiers I had, so I added even more tiers. Now I remember that in the last video, which is the wrong one, uh, I had in the description I put that A tier and S tier, the gap wasn't that big, right? So that's exactly what I did here. I made two S tiers, one with more S tier and the other's less S tier. And now I can accurately arrange the fruits. As you can see, OP from B, it went up to A, and it's just I can do it more accurately now. Now, what I'm really not sure about is the bottom part. For example, Bahari. I don't know if it deserves C tier or D tier, but from my experience, the lack of damage you get from the scaling made me put it down here in D tier. Uh, I think C tier is fine. I'm still kind of wondering if Kage is better than Gomu, because when you think about it, Kage has the clone, which is really good, and Gomu has the barrage, which does a lot of damage. But the problem is that The Kage fruit has more stuff, and Gomu is mostly the Gatling that does everything for PvE. Everything else is pretty mid. But then when you consider that Gomu can get gear 2, uh, that's why I'm not sure if I should rank Gomu lower or higher. Getting gear 2 is pretty difficult. I think for you made it easier, but I'm not sure. Another thing, Paul was in C tier, but I made it go up to B because the barrage can do a lot of damage, and a barrage is always good. It no matter what kind of NPC boss, whatever you're fighting, a barrage is always good. Now the problem with Paw is that it has no range whatsoever, and I actually hate using this. And but it has an ult. It has pretty good ult. Uh, it has the teleportation move, which could be useful. And then Bomu is just that good. I'd say it's actually better than Bomu. I mean, than Paw. Now Yami, I ranked it higher because the move that shoots a bunch of rocks. Sushi doesn't have that, and it has a bunch of other moves that can do damage to multiple enemies. Then another thing I did was I lowered Goro below Hiei and increased Ope's ranking because Ope does percent damage to bosses. Why did I ignore that? You can do one ultimate and you're guaranteed to drop and you do a bunch of damage depending on how much the boss has. And this is even better now because the bosses scale with HP. I mean, with the number of players, and their HP increases by maybe a 5,000 per player. So the more health it has, the more damage it'll do. There's also the rocks, which can do up to 1,500 damage. I've been one-shotted by them before the nerfs. There's also the barrage move, the purple barrage, which is really good. And I think it has super armor. There's also the what is the other thing? It's like electricity thing. It's like grab, and yeah, it's I think it deserves A tier. And he has a lot of AOE and ice, and it does a lot of damage with a bunch of points into fruit. Yuki is now an S tier because the fruit is literally barrage CEO, the CEO of barrages. Everything it does is a barrage except for the grab, and barrages are good, especially if they're high damage like Yuki. Yuki, you can put 545 and it's max damage already. Then Suna, we have Suna here too because of the storm, which does a lot of damage. The ultimate makes everyone like group up and then blow up. There's the guard breaks. There's Spada, which is amazing for big bosses. So this fruit has it all: a flight, high damage move, a move that does high damage to big enemies, and then there's when you're dealing with NPCs, you can use the other moves, the guard break and the little sweep. Now Gura is the king of guard breaks. Its ultimate has, I think, the most AoE in the game. Yeah, I'd say it has the most AoE in the game. The tsunamis come from far away and then they approach from both sides, and it sweeps everything. Just sweeps everything and does a lot of damage too. If you do the grab combo where you can do the ultimate, which stuns you for a long time, you grab them and it's over for them. A billion damage. And we have Pteranodon. Pteranodon, like I said, only has 3 moves in base form, and then full form has, well, 4. No, in base form it has 4 moves, and then it has 3 or 4 moves in full form. And the good move is, well, the barrage thing. I think it was something sweeps. I don't remember. I'm trying to remember. I had it in my brain, but I forgot the name. The fruit, well, it's good, but you know, not as good as the next fruits. It does a lot of damage, but the fruit is held back a bit by the rage bar going really low. going up really slow, and it only having about two moves. It's still really good. It's still really good, but it's not in a triple S tier because of that. It's really good. Now, Mara is has always been one of the best fruits, the best all rounder, I'd say. Um, this fruit excels at everything, but is not a master in any of them. Uh, it has burn damage, which has always been criticized for how long it lasts, and it has flame pillar, which is, I think, the most powerful move in the game, in my opinion. Just because it's a guard break, it has a lot of AoE, and it hits multiple times. Uh, the problem with it though is that if it's an NPC, you're not gonna hit the entire thing unless you have him cornered in, let's say, a bookshelf or some sort of cave with a ceiling. You can also just put a bunch of points into Mara, and the flame pillar will keep scaling to do up to 90 damage per hit. So if you're fighting big enemies that have no knockback, this fruit is excellent because it does 700 damage every maybe 15 seconds. But then, speaking of damage per second, then we have Tori. Now, Tori is, I overlooked the fact that Phoenix Burst does so much damage in so little time. It has no cooldown and you can spam that move. And the health bar of the bosses literally goes down every second because on top of having massive damage, it has a burn. Now I know people said that Tori is better than Mochi, but I don't see it. I really don't see it because Mochi has two barrages. It has Chestnut. It has the donut roll. It has the ultimate massive AoE. It has the two guard breaks. I don't see how having one Phoenix burst do a lot of damage per second. Uh, it's more than a chestnut with 1,000 damage. Barrages that do 300 plus or further. You know, I know the cooldowns of this fruit are horrible, but I still think it's slightly better because after you do your chestnut, you can just do the barrages and the other stuff. And by the time you finish doing all the barrages, your chestnut is back to use. And then we have the triple S tiers, the fruits you should eat no matter what. Originally, I had Buddha here in second place, but Magus just does so much raw damage that I think it deserves the second spot. Pika is really good for PvE. And I know in the previous video, I said that in the comment section, I said, "Oh, Pika is no longer the PvP monster. PvE monster it was before because of evasives." Well, I don't know what I was thinking when I said that because evasives don't activate unless you are doing a move that has knockback or stun. And Pika Laser doesn't have stun. It doesn't have knockback either. The NPC just takes it completely. So it doesn't activate their invasive. In fact, I never even seen it do an evasive while I'm Pika lasering, so I guess I owe you an apology for saying that. Then there's what else? Oh, and I wanted to also add that as we speak, for you added a change to the bosses where the bosses can't do evasives unless they're below 80 HP. I mean 80% HP. Just to prove me even further wrong. Anyways, this fruit, well, the ultimate is awesome. Pika Laser, no cooldown, a lot of damage, burn damage. And what I really like about this fruit is that the stat cap is very low. You only need 491 and it'll max out Pika Kick and it'll max out Light Lunge, I think. It'll max out the ultimate and Pika Laser. The only thing it won't max out is Mirror Kick, but Mirror Kick is pretty mediocre move. Next we have Buddha. I've slept on this fruit. I simply judged it due to its base form. And now that its base form got buffed, And I also forgot completely about its mid second form. And when I mean mid, it's like middle, not like it's mediocre. Uh, I don't know why I forgot about that, but the second form is really good. You get damage reduction plus a bunch of AoEs. Everything does a lot of damage. This fruit is a lot of damage. And then, of course, the ult, you don't need to talk about the ult. Your steps even do damage. That's just how crazy it is. But I still think Magu is better than Buddha because Magu has projectiles and Buddha is very close range. So if there was a situation or a scenario where you needed to throw a projectile from far away, Buddha would not have that. You'd have to just go in there and maybe hope for the best. Now, you could say that the high damage will probably make for it, which is true. But Magu also has the water walk. You can walk on water with it. And it has two massive damage projectiles, an eruption, which is insane. One of the best moves in the game, too. And of course, the ult that has no scale, no cap on the scaling. You can keep pumping points into the fruit and it'll keep doing damage. And you can get up to like 55 damage per hit, which is about 2,200 damage, which is insane. It's also a Logia. It's yeah, it's really useful. Though it's really boring in my opinion. You'll probably get bored of it fast, and if you try to do anything other than PVE with this, you're gonna you might go insane. At least that was my experience. I was like, oh my god, I got Mago, I'm gonna eat this. I ate it. I was like, damn, this is boring and slow. It feels like Ganondorf in Smash Bros. Ultimate. Well, then there's Venom. No surprise, Venom will always be the top, no matter what. Multiple hits, lots of damage, poison. It just no competition. There's no competition as of now, and I don't think there won't be any competition for the time to come. So this is my new and improved tier list. I think I did a way better job at this than in my previous tier list video, and I apologize to everyone who watched the previous video, and now they have to watch this other video I made the next day, making the previous tier list outdated. I feel like I should delete the previous video. I might not because of how many views I got. I mean, how can I delete a video with so many views? You know, but I think I did a better job here. Yeah. Well then, uh, sorry for the previous video, and hopefully this time I made it right. See ya.